All right, kicking off this one with some white splash blue aggro. Thanks to the 8 months, Sprag. I appreciate that. Welcome back. So the latest historic anthology introduced Thalia, Guardian of Thraben here, along with the Meddling Mage. So we've got some disruptive white aggressive creatures. We've got Dauntless Bodyguard and Venerable Knight here at the bottom end of our curve. We've got some giant killers. We've got Marshal to power up the squad. I've got Deputy of Detention as another creature off our splash. Worth noting that this isn't a human, but we can put territory on wizard in a pinch. I've got a couple of Ranger of Eos here at the top end of our curve, generate a little bit of card advantage. You can also search up double removal spell and giant killer in the right matchup. And then we also have some Tithe Takers and some Tomiks here, and some other hateful 2-drops that can be disruptive to certain strategies. So let's go ahead and hop on into the historic constructed ladder here and see how this goes. Yes, Declan.
I don't want to play Praxic mode on Overwatch anymore. I want to play Praxic.
Okay, well we can play the mode together after I'm done working today, okay?
Other people can play with me instead of you.
Why don't you ask Mommy to ask Uncle Mike or Uncle Matt if they could play?
Sure.
Close the door, dude. In. You want Eidolon of Obstruction? I mean, we can add that. We're playing on the ladder bips. There hasn't been that much blue-white control in this format. Field of the Dead is doing its part. So I think I want a Meddling Mage Spellbreaker here. It's a 3-drop they're likely playing 4 of. Hey, thanks for the 3/4 of a year, Max Attacks. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Yeah, Reflector Mage gives modern humans a good way to leverage Meddling Mage too. If you look at the sideboard of this deck, I actually have some copies of, ooh, that's a good draw. If you look at the sideboard of this deck, I have some copies of a creature that bounces when it comes into play. I'm probably going to board those in here. So you can like Meddling Mage something they have in play and then bounce it back to their hand. So I guess I have 18 turn 1 sources. I don't know. I guess I could go down to like 17. It's just like, if I keep a hand with like Territory, Glacial Fortress, Castle, like that mana is super awkward, right? I think I want Exclusion Mage here. Tomik's not super useful. Baffling End seems good. Talia's okay as a 2/1 first striker, but probably not good enough to leave all 4 in, especially if I'm boarding in some non-creature spells myself. I'm not sure that I want more Conclave Tribunals here. Gideon just gets attacked down. This seems good. Sure. Naming Bone Crusher stops both halves. It does not. So if you look at the adventures, they have a name for the adventure half. So like the adventure half of this is called Chop Down. So if they Meddling Mage Giant Killer, I could still chop down something. They would not be able to cast the creature half on the adventure still. You think the cards, Historic Injected, will eventually make their way to Pioneer? No, Elks. I think one of the explicit points and appeals of this format is it's going to be different than Pioneer. People that think this format's just going to become Pioneer Light are misguided and inaccurate. I think Yarok Field already has a pretty good aggro matchup, in my opinion. So we'll chop this down, they'll make a token, we'll untap and we'll Exclusion Mage. I actually think the fact they're playing Rekindling Phoenix probably makes Deputy Detention more appealing. Really need to draw a Ranger of Eos at this point. That's our source of card advantage to kind of generate some 2-for-1s here as we head into the long game. Yeah, spells would be decent draws. Sick. It's like actually just goes and gets double removal spell. This stream was pre-recorded in front of a live Twitch audience. Chop it down. Is this deck trying to stay low to the ground? Well, that was a punt. Is this deck trying to stay low to the ground, or could it benefit from a curve topper? Instead of me telling you, can you look at the deck list? Do you think what do you think my deck list with 12 1-drops is trying to do? Would be my question to you. We're going down in a really luau. Sugar, we're going down swinging. I'll be your number one with a bullet. Loaded gun complex, cock it and pull it. They're going down, chopping down. Chop 'em down. Man, that was great. Should there be more Rangers in my main deck? Ranger was such a sweet addition to this format. Historic Anthology 2 was just quite excellent. Well, if we do this, just get rid of the non-human out of the main. The person that submitted said they wanted Eidolon in here. I guess this is a 2-1 with first strike. This could be okay. This could be okay. I don't know. Let's try a pair. Tomik's legendary. Alright, what do I cut? Tithe Taker? Do I go to 3 of this? Could be 3 of this. Let's do that. Oh, this isn't a human either. I guess that's probably fine. That's probably fine. I think I like Tribunal as a generic answer. There aren't nearly as many Brazen Borrowers and 3-mana Tefris in this format, so cards like Conclave Tribunal and Banishing Light are a lot better here than they are in Standard. Sure. This whole thing is gonna get much worse before it gets better, chat. And you know I know that because you look at people who are real stupid out there. The person that I ended up banning yesterday because they were defending their take that ordering takeout is not a vector for spreading disease. They got really upset and they felt they were upset enough to send me an email and let me know that they felt that was fake news. People being divorced from reality get people killed every day, I suppose, but in this instance in which we're living in today, they're really gonna get more people killed. It's real sad and frustrating. Yeah, I mean, they're banned in Twitch chat, so like, I guess that was their avenue to contact me. Email me their thoughts as Peak Boomer. You're not wrong. They actually said the phrase, "Don't spread fake news." If the coronavirus has taught me anything, it's that every dumb... Yes! There was, one of the late night hosts talked about that. They're like, you know how when everybody's watching the horror movies and people are just like, why aren't you listening to the scientists? They're very clearly telling you what's wrong. Don't walk through the door. Don't do that. Listen to the warning signs. And we're like currently living through that in real life. That's what we're currently learning, that all of those people and all of those examples are accurate. All of those things that you expect. Real people would never do that. People are smarter than that. It's like, no, they're really not. And this is super accurate. So, just to clarify so people understand, there is no current evidence from my understanding based on the CDC that you can contact COVID through food specifically. However, your food does come in plastic containers and paper bags, and the disease does live on surfaces from our understanding for a number of days. So getting individual meals delivered constantly gives you lots of chances to have it coming on surfaces into your home. Obviously, you need to eat, but you should be getting a bunch of food and being careful with the packaging and potentially wiping it down and making sure it's clean before bringing it into your home. That's the thing you need to be aware of. There are risks everywhere. You still need to live. It is about minimizing your vectors through which you accept those risks. All right, here. We can't out-aggro this opponent. So because we can't out-aggro this opponent, I think I want to be as interactive as possible. So I think Ranger's actually good here because Ranger searches up Giant Killer. I don't think Meddling Mage is super useful. I think I just want to be like a bunch of removal spells and then eventually kill them with whatever we have left over. Gideon for lifelink. So I don't think lifelink from Gideon is relevant, and Gideon being a threat that my opponent has the option to attack to remove doesn't seem particularly good. Yes, it's also... So, the ethical reasons surrounding takeout are complicated, because ordering takeout encourages those businesses to stay open, which encourages them to be putting their employees in a dangerous situation. But at the same time, when the government has yet to step up, those people also need to live. So the reality is we need the government to pass legislation to allow people to live without incomes. Because in order to mitigate and minimize risk, that needs to be something that people have the option to do. Not everybody has the privilege and capability of being able to just not work. We need the federal government to step up and provide that privilege for everyone so we can mitigate the spread and flatten the curve. Alright, so I think we're just tribunaling the Gideon, right? And I need to tribunal the Gideon before I start playing creatures, unfortunately, because I need to, I don't want them to gain life and make their other things bigger. So I think I'm actually just going to tap all of these and exile this and then hit them for 6. What do you think of Denmark's strategy of quarantining at-risk people and letting everybody else continue? It seems incredibly irresponsible and shows a fundamental misunderstanding of how we can eventually get rid of this thing and mitigate its spread in the meantime. Just because you're not in a high-risk category doesn't mean there can't be an impact on you personally. Wasn't Knight free there? Well, I just took 30 seconds to explain why I wasn't casting the Knight. So I'll give you a break so you can go back and listen to that. I think this is just like Knight into Marshal into smack you. I can't leave you wanting, Mikey. We aim to please here. This card in their archetype seems really sweet. Again, just like this card slotted into so many different things. It was a really, really great addition to the format. Oh no! We grew our creatures into the giant killing range. That's fine. I think I'm blocking here and then throwing a counter on my Marshal. Marshal. I think we're going to go ahead and bounce Healer's Hawk here. I'll start by attacking with this and see what they do. They probably just take 4. Yeah, I agree. I think this match is probably very hard for us. Like I said, my sideboard plan was basically become as interactive as possible, and our deck's definitely not set up to be a super interactive deck. So we're like being forced to assume a role that our deck's not good at assuming here. They have a Conclave Tribunal of their own here. Looks like they're tapping things for Convoke. Yeah. Alright, yeah, we're pretty dead. think we boarded the best way possible, but like as suggested in chat, I agree with the conclusion that matchup's probably difficult to impossible for Archetype. Yeah, the Yarok Field versus White Devotion matchup gets really silly really quickly. The president just said there's never been anything like this virus before. This has never happened in history before. Well, I mean, you're in this chat, you give me money, so you probably understand that almost everything that falls out of Donald Trump's mouth is a lie, right? It's a good chance you understand that. And our current extraordinary circumstances don't make that reality less of a reality. You could make the reasonable argument that in modern history, this is the first time this has happened. But for someone who thinks he has the bigliest best of all the words, he certainly misses words constantly.
Danny, I want to play. Spell game.
Oh, yeah, you can do that. Just put it in the Switch and start it up, dude.
I don't know how I get soap and rolls.
You just walk around instead of going into the doorway.
Oh.
You can figure it out, I promise. You're a smart kid. When you start the game, there's going to be a door with an arrow. Just don't go into the door with the arrow. So... the Spanish flu is 1918. I feel like that's pretty close to mine. I don't think that's fair. I think 1918 is pretty far away from the modern era, especially when you look at the differences in technology between last time and then.
I want to play the spell game with you on a level.
We'll play the spell game after I've been working today, I promise, dude. We've done levels every day, okay?
No, you be all done right now.
The natives are growing restless, chat. I think our plan, so I talked about this, and after talking with Christy more, I think this is going to be my plan moving forward. I think starting next week, I'm only going to be live 3 days a week during the week. And I think my plan until we're out of quarantine being the expected norm is that I'm going to be live Saturday, Sunday, and then 3 days during the week. So I'll still be doing the same volume I'm doing right now, but I'm just gonna be shifting my schedule because Christy's job allows her to work from home. So like she's currently been working plus wrangling children. So that'll split that up a little bit because she can't work on the weekends and I can shift my schedule to the weekends. So if you're someone that can't watch on the weekends, you'll be able to just watch replays on the days that I'm off during the week. But just to be clear about what we're going to be doing here, my schedule is going to be shifting this weekend, I believe. I think I'm just doing this again and then playing a Dauntless Bodyguard. All of the 2-1s. Any thoughts on streaming Switch games with your kids? Yeah, I have thought about that. I actually found, when I was setting up Overwatch today, I found the capture card while I was digging around for the Steam controller. So yeah, I probably will end up streaming some Switch games with him at some point. Maybe we could do that and be live doing that during the week. I don't know that I'd do a full day of that, but yeah, a big part of me hanging out with Declan is playing Switch games. What Switch games? We largely play Lego games. We're currently playing through years 1 through 7 of Lego Harry Potter. I think we're on year 4. We started year 4 last night. Actually, I actually think Luigi's Mansion is great for little kids. Declan and I played through most of that. Some of the bosses are very frustrating mechanically and definitely had to take breaks at some points to just be like, all right, we'll come back to this later. This game's a great example of what's it called being great? Ranger of Eos again, right? Like we wouldn't be anywhere near as far ahead here if we didn't have Ranger of Eos. All right, I know I could Google this, and I'm probably going to get some criticism on stream for not knowing. What is Animal Crossing? Can anybody, can I just get like a TLDR that I would get if I did a Google search? How dare you? Yeah, I figured like that was going to be the response I was about to get, but like... I'm not kidding. It's Harvest Moon. Okay. It's Harvest Moon. Got it. It's Stardew Valley without farming. Okay, there we go. There we go. I think I named Embercleave, right? Just like avoid a trip to Cleveland. May I post this? I realized I could Google it, chat. Someone type him out. It's probably not unjustified. Yeah, let's just leave both of these up. It's basically a capitalist utopia where everything is based on money, yet everyone is nice and cares for one another. Oh, so it's a typical fantasy game. Typical fantasy game. Some could call it high fantasy even. And you can actually use your bootstraps to get ahead. That's funny. If I attack with this, they can trade here, but I think that's fine. It's a fantasy game where your fantasy is not having to be stressed out about life's concern. You just hang out with your animal friends and rearrange your house. Wild. So it's like The Sims? Is that it? Is this why I don't understand what it is? Because it's like The Sims? It's a furry version of The Sims. Okay, it's furry Sims. That makes sense. It's The Sims for furries. Okay. All right, that tracks. I think that tracks. Your goal is paying off your house, which resorts you in getting forced to get a bigger house, which you also have to pay for. All right. Tomik's probably fine here because he's just like a 2/3. This leaves a friend behind. Thalia seems fine. I probably want to cut some of my... Actually, I probably want to cut some of my X ones, right? Because of Chain Whirler. Whirly boy up in our base, shooting rockets in our face. Seems good. What's up, oldest son? One cup opening. That one was really stuck that time.
Right up.
Coming right up. Close the door, please.
Close the door, please.
You're lucky you're cute. He loosened it for me. Though sometimes those things like really get stuck. So soon, actually, Beans. I was actually talking, if you weren't here, my plan moving forward is that Magic is going to only be happening 3 days a week during the remainder of quarantine. 3 days during the week, and then also on the weekends. So I can hang out with the kids more actively 2 days during the week, and then Christy can hang out with them actively on the weekends. And then we'll just kind of both manage them on the other days like we have been. And I think part of when I'm hanging out with them during the week. There it is. Where's that one at? Let's name the one that Wrath's my board. I've been smashing on the historic ladder with Gen Dinos, but only have one Ferocodon. What would be a good replacement? Brontodon or Ceratops, just something else that smacks people. Yeah, the UK doesn't really seem to be taking things too terribly seriously, from my understanding. But they also just elected their own Donald Trump, right? So, like, that doesn't really... That's not... That about tracks, I think. What's the mantra I heard a lot when Trump was elected? Elect a clown, expect a circus. Perfect. I'm just gonna keep naming Goblin Shade Whirler. That card's like poised to mess me up. And I'm gonna leave this back on defense and plan to trade here since I got some card advantage coming. Yeah, I really, like, unless I have Meddling Mage in play, I kind of only want to deploy one thing that dies to Chain Whirler at a time. Alright, they didn't activate Castle, so they have another spell here. Vomit. Get a little variety 1-drops here. We're super into that. I just can't race at this point. Good. Above average Frenzy. Anytime Frenzy plays like 3+ cards, I feel like you could check off like this was above average. Do I want Exclusion Mage for the pro white card? That's a good suggestion. I think you're right. Mage is also a 2/2. Yeah, I think that's a good, like, the tempo aspect of it's not particularly exciting, but it blocks their it blocks their protection from white card. Seems like a very reasonable consideration I didn't think about. Okay, go to 19, we'll go to 17, we'll play this. Or I could do that. Let's do that, actually. This is worse against Chain Whirler, though. We also haven't seen Chain Whirler out of them yet. He says before he gets Chain Whirlered, whoa, they just passed. That's so good for us. I've also been kind of whelmed by... That's great. I've also been pretty whelmed by Meddling Mage. Without the ability to see their hand on occasion, it has a lot less power than it has in standard humans. JM Burfer, thank you for the brand new Prime Support. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome. How do you decide for the RX Field Mirror? Cut your acceleration, or cut your Arboreal Grazers. Bring in your Unmortigos. Yeah, Ranger of Eos has been the big, this has been great takeaway from this for sure. For sure. Yeah, freebooter's legal, but the mana base isn't. Is the issue. The context around freebooter is key. Like an Esper aggro deck just like isn't functional. You need like another rainbow land. We don't have Ancient Ziggurat, Cavern of Souls, fast lands. There's a lot of things that just don't make it a possibility. Brick! 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 Don't lava coil me, bro. They don't have lava coil here. Third Marshal next turn should put him in the ground. Yeah. It was a mix of like the third rainbow colored land and like also getting other key humans. There was also, I don't remember the exact timeline, but human wasn't always a creature type in Magic, and at one point they went back in time and eroded a bunch of humans. Eroded a bunch of older cards to be humans. Welcome back, Mikey. Burfor, did I mention you? Or is a new Prime sub? If I missed it, I'm sorry. If I didn't miss it, thank you again. This is like hand sucks keep territory. Just like, not stellar, no one drop, but like, also not bad enough to be like, we're gonna mulligan in the dark. For Legacy Elves, thank you, Fox, will do. As a heads up, I still have a little bit of a backlog for Magic Online decks. Once we get through the next week, I should be mostly caught up, and the turnaround for Moto decks should be under 2 weeks. Actually, this one will probably still be under 2 weeks. I bet once we clear the next week, the turnaround for Moto decks will probably be less than a week with the higher price. So that's a Meddling Mage. Huh. Now what do I do? What was the motor deck this morning? I put Red, Black, Titan, and Pioneer back in the queue because I thought I might play it Saturday in the Pioneer tournament, and it was just so awful. I dropped after a match and a half. As always, the answer to your question, will Jeff play X, should always be answered by using the form on the website. Do I Meddling Mage the Reclamation? Is that the play? I can Conclave Tribunal the Reclamation. What if I just, like, Marshal hit the Tamiyo and then plan to Tribunal the Reclamation? I think I want to do this on Nexus. I think is the play.
Do not harm my scrolls.
I think that's my plan. Marshal, Marshal, Marshal. Giant Killer, just going to be a 1-2 for 1 here. If you don't want to use the forum, submit an arena deck with at least $50 or a moto deck with at least $100, and then you can skip the forum. Outside of those two stipulations, send it through the forum. Blah. I mean, if I play this and name Brazen Borrower, they literally bounce it and then play the Brazen Borrower after. It only stops the cards you're naming. Yeah, I think I'm naming Petty Theft. I think is my plan. Wellborn Muse, thanks for the 6 months. I appreciate it. Welcome back. Oh, can you name Petty Theft? Actually, that's a good question. You can? Is that the name of a card? So Arena lets me name Petty Theft. Is that a legal play? Red Kreplin, thanks for the 7 months. Judge? Is Petty Theft technically a card name? I don't actually know the answer to that question. It's a legal play? How do I name Nexus of Fate? They're treated like split cards, sure. Maybe this is wrong because it leaves Tamiyo at 4, which lets her downtick and pick up Blast Zone.
I know this somewhere. So many. I have just the trick for this.
Yep. Root snare me, daddy. Multiple borrowers. Feels bad, man. At least this can't downtick, and neither can this anymore. Should have named petty theft. If you're gonna tell me I'm wrong, you need to tell me why. Or you're gonna take a break. I think naming petty theft when we've already seen that they've already played a brazen borrower is wrong, because a number of these decks only play one brazen borrower as their only win condition. So unless you have some other logical indicator for why that wouldn't be the case based on the information we had at the time, to the dungeon with you. Uro's a very good addition to the opponent's archetype. Seems great. Maybe this is wrong and I'm just supposed to diddle this. Yeah, I'm probably just supposed to diddle this. We're just gonna get run down, right? I guess with this, maybe we're okay. Maybe. As a heads up, JMB, when you're on mobile, there's an extension button that can let you pull up the text inside the mobile application as well for the cards that are on the board. Yeah, no Reflector Mage is a big tempo hit. Meddling Reflector Mage is honestly another card. Oh, that gives them this. Yeah, I'm gonna concede. We're pretty dead. I should have not played the second Marshal, and I should have tapped the Uro and killed their Tamiyo there, is what should have happened. Ranger seems a little slow here. Bring in our Conclave Tribunals, bring in this. Do I want Exclusion Mage for Uro? That's a thought. It's probably worse than Deputy Detention though, right? I'm gonna cut a land because I cut my 4 drops. Defender of Cats, thanks to the Brandy Prime Sport. I appreciate that. Welcome to Hooglandia. You having a good one wherever you're at? Ooh, staying safe out there in this crazy world right now. I don't know that Lavinia is actually good. I feel like there's a strong chance she isn't. Just gonna learn from past Jeff mistakes and name petty theft here. Do you make more on a tier 1 or Bezo Bucks? Actually identical in every way, Kenix. So if you're someone that has Prime and you're thinking, oh, should I send a streamer $5 instead of priming because I really want to support their stuff? It's actually the same on our end. Now that we know they're playing multiple Brazen Borrowers, there's a real chance they have 4 of them, so. Oh! Look at us bug hunting, chat. when you name an adventure card, the preview panel doesn't work. How often does Twitch send you a check? They give me a direct deposit every month. If you make at least $100, Twitch gives you a direct deposit around the 15th. Longtime YouTuber, figured you could use the Bezo Bucks for the fun commentary. Painful to not watch at 2x speed. You can always watch after the fact. I appreciate you dropping that off, though. I wouldn't be here making stuff without folks like you. You report the bug like a snitch or keep quiet like you're supposed to. Morning, Bob.
Let us to the library.
I do, in fact, make at least $100 each month. There's Root Snare. I think I'm just doing this since they snared me. It's not super hard to determine about what a Twitch streamer makes if they have their sub count public. And like, I share when people ask. So like, for instance, I have 2,440 unique subscribers currently. And bigger Twitch streamers, usually people who have like over 1,000 subscribers consistently, we get $3.50 per subscriber of the $5 or Twitch Prime that people pay. How many shillings is that per month? Asking the real questions. They do not pay me in shillings. Things that pay for mortgages. No, Twitch does not process tax payments. It's all done through a 1099 at the end of the year, which for people not familiar with US taxes or 1099s, that means I pay the employer and the employee part of the taxes, which means it tends to be much higher than you pay in taxes at a traditional job. So yeah, Christy and I wait till April to file our taxes because we generally always owe money. Vomit. Shillings are not a universal currency. Yeah, so bits, when you cheer 100 bits in my channel, I get the full $1 of that. You're paying the transaction fee on bits when you buy them.
I would like to ask about any lunar anomalies you have experienced. I think you will
Correct. Even at that income level, at about 10 grand a month or so, I wouldn't be able to afford reasonable healthcare in the United States for my entire family on that income. It would cost me, and everything else that we have expense-wise, daycare and things like that. Like, Christy and I actually looked at what it would cost to pay for healthcare without her job, and it would be like somewhere between $2,500 and $3 grand per month to get something that has worse coverage than what her work currently provides us. All right, so I think we're gonna go ahead and do this way. They're gonna blow this up and kill all of these, which is sad, but then we get to play Thalia after this. And what you need to understand too is when I say $2,500 to $3,000 per month, there's also plans. There's also those plans that cost $2,500 to $3,000 per month also require you to pay a $6,000 to $10,000 or sometimes more dollar deductible. So in most cases, you have to spend another 5 figures out of pocket if something happens and causes you to go to the hospital, on top of paying the 30 grand a year for coverage. So for people, and then for people outside of the United States who think that's insane, yes, it is. Then realize that a bunch of people voted against the guy that wanted to change that system and realized just how propaganda fed people in the United States are. Are we dead? Probably. Probably. It's the land of the free, yep. Yeah, that's not mentioning out-of-network services or co-pays and all the other nonsense. Cost of prescription drugs. If they take another turn next turn, I'm gonna concede. I'll give them one chance to break. Pretty unlikely though. Never mind, I'm done. How's the stick doing? Kind of middling so far. I feel like there's a chance we fall into, but what happened if you had no job and were in a mugging and were shot? Would the hospital just not treat you? No, they can't refuse you service. You'll just be bankrupt for your, you'll likely file for bankruptcy. One of the #1 causes for filing of bankruptcy in the United States is medical debt. And in my opinion, that's morally reprehensible and wrong. They cannot refuse treatment to someone that needs it based on ability to pay. Let's try one more with this. I feel like this is one of those ones that's falling into the category of not quite linear enough, not quite interactive enough. Ranger of Eos continues to be great, especially with Giant Killer, but yeah, this deck, I don't think it's fast enough where our disruption is good enough. %67% of bankruptcies. Yeah, something in the 60% range is the stat I've heard thrown around. 4% of bankruptcies due to medical debt. All right. I gotta share this. This one's worth sharing. So I shared my favorite Legacy Land pun, which was, what do they say about people who play Badlands? The same thing they say about people that play Scrublands. They're really plateauing their Legacy career. And this response here, I don't really like puns, but when they're by you, I'll make an exception. Thank you, Nelson. I appreciate you. I want you to know that I appreciate you. All right. Turn 1, 2-power 1-drop. Turn 2, Thalia. Let's run them down. It's the dream, chat. It's the mono white beatdown dream. Thanks for the 15 months, Gunners. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I ain't petty theft again. Looks like Nexus. How does Jeff read chat, play Magic, then apparently also read Twitter? All right, we're doing a lot. Bouncing around. Red Carpet, how much for Vintage Cube in this trying time? I look for big donations for Vintage Cube. Doing a format I don't normally do on Magic Online is a $100 donation. And again, lots of other people play Vintage Cube for free. So go watch Caleb, go watch Numot. They're good people, great content creators. The price is high because I generally prefer constructed. Oh, is this the same person we played against? I was checking Twitter, so I wasn't paying attention to the username because usually it doesn't matter. You're gonna put the Onion out of business. It's gotta be a rough time being the Onion right now. There's so many, like, this is too stupid to be reality things out there at the moment. My normal sponsored rate for indie content specifically, Bob, is 150. That's what when indie devs approach me, that's what I look for. Wait, don't kill me. Thanks for the 8 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Although if they have a native Linux client, I'm usually willing to go a little lower than that because I like to support my platform of choice. If they don't have a native Linux client, I can still stream Windows games from Windows computer. Steam streaming is great. This is a pretty good start again. Turn 1, 2 power, 1 drop, turn 2 Thalia. We are on the draw this time around though, but we also have Conclave Tribunal even this to slow down a Tamiyo, which seems good. Kashadan, thanks for the 14 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Fatal Push is not historic legal. That card was in Aether Revolt, I think. 100.5 Larynx. A Boreal Greaser. This card is so obnoxious. I'm really glad we have a Plains. Oh, they don't have a land. They're super dead. Get them. Get them. Do you think there are more combo builds of that Storm with Citadel, Undread, and Historic? What does that mean, Chalky? How do you make it more combo-y? You too, Fall Not Dead. Thanks for the 2/3 of a year. I appreciate it. Yeah! Vengeance! Vengeance for white aggro. The builds with the Explorer package that Storm for an hour like we played in Standard. Oh, sure. So you want to, like, cut the interaction, play the Explorer package? Yeah, probably, possibly. The roar on that card is real angry. That's still my pick for, like, uncommon that has the angriest voice clip. Probably better to leave on a high note. Nah, I'm going to try one more. That really wasn't much of a game. We just ran them over. And I don't really consider... Like, I don't consider just winning a match a high note. Like, we didn't really play Magic. My goal is to try and highlight strengths or weaknesses, which I don't feel like we did there. Let's give it another try. Thanks for the 22 months, Zumail. I appreciate you continuing to drop your prime off. What's the rare that has the angriest voice? Yo, I don't even know of another card that comes close to the anger that that card pumps out. Sounds good, Punchworthy. And yeah, definitely be responsible with your finances. I should hopefully be here regardless. Ooh, cards that are banned in Pioneer. Is this and Field. Are there any other cards that are banned in Pioneer that are legal in Historic right now? Or is it just those two? Nexus. Okay, 3. Is that it? Is that all of them? There's so much pressure when you tell me I usually pronounce your name correctly. I feel like I tense up every time. Don't tell me and I'll just go with my gut next time. If I get $1,000 from the government, can I make you say this segment is sponsored by Trump? I mean, it kinda is. I would take a little Trump-sponsored socialism.
I do not feel pain.
Thank you for the 10 months, Kethriz? I don't know, and I'm afraid to make a mistake. Yeah, probably Herring. As always, if you're wondering, will Jeff play X? Use the form on the website. Hey, Meddling Mage got to do the thing. NPR story about Burr raising the alarm weeks ago about COVID, but refusing to break with Trump publicly is infuriating. Yes! The administration is full of complacent yes people because everybody who's not that has been fired. All right, so I'm kind of expecting him to have a giant thing, right? So like I should probably keep Giant Killer in my hand, and I kind of feel like there's nothing worth tribunaling at the moment. I agree, Bob. I agree. One of my tweets that got a bunch of retweets and got outside the magic circle had a conservative respond with "Y'all will shut up" after Trump sends everybody checks, and I was like, I would love a little bit of Trump-sponsored socialism. That sounds great. They wish for Immortal Sun. Yeah, that's a real one. They also have that one that makes things cost 2 more or 1 more or whatever. So probably want to save Tribunal for that. The Great Hen, sure. This is naming Golos because that's what we saw them get. God Pharaoh statue, yeah, that's the one. Right. If they continue to stumble and bumble a little bit here, second Marshal will let us run them down relatively quickly, because it'll mean our 2-power dorks get to attack through the Dryad, which is great.
I have faced worse than the likes of you. This will not deter me. You will not threaten this world.
All right, what you got? This is the part where they get in Snaring Bridge and we just curl up and cry. Oh wait, this isn't the Stain of a format. Yes. Yes. Well, Nissa doesn't currently do anything, right? Tomik says Nissa don't matter. Correct, Ghosted. Correct. So I'm going to give them the option to save their Karn if they want to chump block both of my creatures here. Yeah, without, like, blue mana for Hydrate Graces, I'm not sure I'm really worried about Nissa. Yeah, just, like, not having to constantly get Teferied is just the biggest breath of fresh air in this format. And in large part, that's because Field of the Dead beats up on Teferi decks, right? So the question now is, with Ranger of Eos in my hand, do I play this? I think I do. I think I just want as much power in play as possible here, because Ranger could search up more giant killers. So casting this means I can't chop down next turn, but I could still chop down in 2 turns. I think it makes sense to just like add pressure here. What does it say? Opponents can't cast non-creature spells with converted mana cost greater than the number of lands they control. So this stops them from casting Nissa, right? It stops them from casting non-creatures with their mana dorks. Yeah, I agree, Mikey. There's been people playing field, but it's by no means felt overbearing. Really can't overstate how good of an addition Field of the Dead felt like it was to this format. Kuntz, thanks for the 19 months. I appreciate it. Welcome back. Just incredibly validating for me as someone who evaluates Magic cards constantly, that like being right about them needing more unbannings is almost always correct. That's true. They are pretty low on removal. This could be okay. Thalia's pretty unimpressive here, right? Eidolon of Obstruction seems fine. Maybe I don't need all 4 Conclave Tribunals if we have these. Let's do this. It's been all right, Kane. This deck feels like it's been... This deck feels like it's been good enough that, like, it's playable if you really want to play this style of archetype, but I don't think it's good enough that, like, if someone's like, hey, what are some of the best decks in this format, that I would point this one out, if that makes sense. It's one of those, like, if you're in love with it, it's fine to play, but if you're not in love with it, it's probably not something that you would say, this is good, play it. This is busted, play it. He brought in Shaper Sanctuary. That's interesting. I guess I did bring in more removal. I think I'm on board for another Marshal. Marshal. All right, so we 1000% named Nissa, right? Avrith, thank you for the quarter of a year. I appreciate that. Welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. Crunch. Nissa who shaketh that booty. This is only spells, right? No, it's spells or abilities. Wow, that card seems sweet. So this won't quite be a 2-for-1 because they're going to draw some cards here, but... well, that works out for us perfectly.
Stomping time.
This is probably a concession, Deputy. I did not shoot the sheriff, but the deputy exiled these Llanowar elves. Oh no, what did they veil me, chat? Flashbacks, Jeff. No, veil is not legal. Sorry, for anybody that just had a panic, just had a small, like, flutter in your heart, veil is not legal. Alright, that feels like a strong, that one feels like end on a high note reasonable. So... So thoughts on this? I'm not sure that Meddling Mage is really worth the splash. I am sure that whatever the white weenie aggro deck is in this format, it wants some number of Ranger at the top end of its curve. Maybe not even all in the main deck, but like this is just an impressive card. Like exploring this in more shells in this format is gonna be sweet. I feel like this was just such a fantastic addition from Anthology 2, especially when paired with just Giant Killer. Like, there's a ton of other colors you can explore splashing in for good, decent one-drops, and, like, getting Giant Killer's really good. There's probably a great black-white deck with this card, because it gets, Knight of the Ebon Legion, which is just another fantastic one-drop that you can search up. You could find cats with it. You could find some cats in an Aristocrats deck. Seems sweet. Yes, Bob. That is correct. The first case of COVID in the United States was the same day as the first case in South Korea, and the difference in government responses has been just frankly quite eye-opening. It could grab Stonecoil Serpent. That's a good observation. Gosh, if we get Walking Ballista and Amonkhet remastered, it would fetch that up. All right, what are we doing? I'm gonna hit a quick ad roll while we get things set up and flipped over to the next deck. When we get back, we're gonna take a crack at Martin Yuza's blue-green Merfolk here deck. So be back in just a few. Thanks for hanging out today, folks. Don't go anywhere.